Jaguar Nation, welcome to the Jaguar Football Show with Coach Dawson Odums, where we bring you all the exciting action of the Southern University football program. It's brought to you by Louisiana Lottery and Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Welcome to the Jaguar Football Show with Coach Dawson Odums. Coach, we come on about 7 times a week on TV, whether it be Cox 4 or Pelican Sports. We come on YouTube, Facebook. We stream on Pelican Sports. You can catch us all over the place, all over the web, so there's no reason not to catch us. You can watch us on TV or at your own pleasure digitally. So share our times with the True Blue Jaguar Nation so they can keep up with what's happening with the team. Coach O, I got to ask you, how did it feel to play an official game for the first time in 440 days?
Well, it felt good. It felt good to be out there. Very nervous, especially about the unknown and just the time frame, but it was great to be out there.
I bet. Well, wow, a tough win. Usually when I say wow, it's like a tough loss, but wow, a tough win. The Jaguars open up this historic spring football season with a 24-21 win over Alabama State. Coach, I saw a lot of great things, especially from your defense. I mean, there's still plenty of work to do, though.
A lot of work to be done. We played in spurts. Mm-hmm. Defensively, we gave it the big play right before the half. Just got out of positioning. But the first time to be in pads, a clean football game. Very concerned about tackling going into the game, but for the most part, we tackled pretty good. Offense was concerned because we haven't been in that foxhole together, but they showed promise. They moved the ball. We shot ourselves in the foot. But I think when you look at it, you can look at the good and say, okay, we got something to build on. And you look at the bad and say, we can correct these mistakes. So hopefully going forward into the second game, we'll be much better.
Coach, Jordan Lewis and Jalen Ivey, 5 sacks, 5.5 sacks between them. They were playing like madmen, and it's really got to give you some hope for the season to know you got some players like that and you got some other ones around them that want to be just as successful. So talk about those guys and their effort on that night.
Well, I knew going into the game our bookends would play a tremendous part into the success of the defense. Mm-hmm. Jalen Ivey and Jordan Lewis are 2 special football players. Lewis is extremely quick, fast. Ivey has exceptional hand-eye coordination. So it's a great combination. Teams cannot just focus on Jordan Lewis because Jalen Ivey is just as dominant. And then we got a lot of depth on that defensive line, but I really thought those 2 guys set the tone for how we wanted to play defense.
Coach, the Jaguars had a touchdown that was questionable, but when it was replayed in the stadium, in the press box, clearly the kid caught the ball, had his foot in the end zone, and even on the replay, they got it wrong. How do you deal with a mistake like that as the coach when it's so blatant that it was a touchdown?
I think you have to understand that the guys on the field made a call, and the call was incomplete. And I don't think as fans we able to see the full possession to the ground. So if it moved a little bit, that means he didn't possess the ball all the way through the catch. Mm-hmm. We have that same rule. Now, I couldn't see it from replay or even on TV if he possessed it during the ground. Mm-hmm. So it has to be those guys on the field had the best angle. So I don't know if it was enough information there for replay to overturn it.
Yeah, well, from the replay, it really looked like the kid possessed it all the way to the ground. It looked like a touchdown. Let's jump into those first half highlights from the Southern University Alabama State game to open up the 2021 season. Ryan Nettles, good quarterback for Alabama State, gets sacked by Jordan Lewis.
A big play right there. We needed to get in the end zone right there. I was telling Malik Ellis, don't look back, just get in the end zone.
Beautiful pick 6 right there by Chase Foster. Returns it 14 yards for a touchdown. Baraja kicks the extra point, and we're up 7-0. Great start to a game, Coach.
Unbelievable. You could see that. You could see us playing well, missed some opportunities early on, but you could see the energy and the excitement. Didn't look like a team that haven't played in 440-something days.
Yeah, great opening possession right there by the defense. Here you see Devon Ben get 6, and then you're going to see Skelton use his feet for 28. Exciting young man, Coach, when he uses his feet. Always can bust something wide open if given a crease.
Well, exactly. I think he's one of the more talented players in the conference. And, again, the big thing is always with him is just making good decisions. And when he does that, we got a chance to be very, very potent on offense.
Unfortunately, Hinton catches a ball from Skelton and then fumbles it. They get the ball, but the defense is stout. You see a nice tackle by Jordan Lewis. You see Jalen Ivey doing his thing on a loss. Then we get the ball back, and Skelton gets it to Ben for 17 yards, and then he keeps it for 13 yards, and the Jaguars are trying to be on the move. But unfortunately, we end up punting. Another sack by Lewis, where he gets Nettles for a loss of 5. Then Skelton's going to come back, hit Hinton for 27. Then Sims is going to run for 8. And unfortunately, Sims puts it on the ground. Coach, 2 momentum-changing plays on 2 fumbles.
It really changed the outcome of the game. It really allowed them to stay in the game. I think if we take those possessions and put them in the end zone, I think we're looking at this game as a totally different outcome, especially from a margin of victory.
7-7 to end the first half. When we come back, we'll look at the second half highlights on the Jaguar Football Show with Coach Dawson Odums. Stay with us.
A family-run dealership for over 30 years.
A philosophy where the customer comes first.
Giving back to the community in times of need.
That's why I love working at Jerry Lane Chevrolet.
With total transparency, we're here to earn your business.
We only make decisions on what's best for you. We are family, we are tradition, we are Baton Rouge. You can count on Jerry Lane.
Add some oomph to your next boil. Pick up crawfish from the lottery. Win up to $3,000. Make it rain. Cash. Grab your big money ticket from the lottery. Win up to $100,000. Get yours today.
Welcome back to the Jaguar Football Show with Coach Dawson Odums. Coach, we go into the half 7-7, but from Todd Sterling's perspective, we probably could have been up 21-7. What'd you tell your team at the half?
Well, you just got to go out and finish drives and defense to keep playing with great energy, but made a couple adjustments. I thought the staff made some halftime adjustments, and it showed. We got together and said, okay, what are we doing well? What are we not doing well? And I think they came out with the right energy. It's a tough environment when you're playing like that on the road with not a lot of people, not a lot of fans that even support you. So I was proud of the guys, how they came out in the second half.
Coach, whatever you told your team, it worked because they came out and really put together an impressive drive right out of the halftime.
They did. It worked. I think offensively we got moving. We was able to put it in the end zone. Defense, we got a couple stops. But really our fourth quarter, a dominant fourth quarter. And I think that's how you win close ball games, is you have to be dominant in the fourth quarter.
Coach, I got to ask what it's going to take to get a consistent product out of your offense like that drive, because you clearly have the talent. You clearly got some players who can be stars. What does it take to get consistency out of your offense? And, you're not going to score every time, but to threaten to score every time, is really what you want.
Well, I really think it's a consistency of being out there, being in full gear, getting hit. We didn't do a lot of that. So I think adjusting to the game, Guys being able to see now, a lot of new faces was on that offense. So getting them up to game speed, I think, was big. Now that we got a game on our belt, hopefully between game 1 and game 2, we see tremendous improvement.
Coach, the other question I got to ask you about the offense, you got 2 pretty good tight ends in Perkins and Tucker. What do we got to do to get those guys unleashed? Because I think they probably only had 2 or 3 balls between the both of them.
Well, I just think it's about what are they taking away and what they giving up. I think they were giving up the flats. We had an opportunity to complete some balls in the flat area, and we missed on it. But we did a great play call there with Perkins on it. He was wide open, and for him to get to the end zone. But I think the block on that play was just as good. So they go play a big part in our offense going forward.
All right, let's jump into those second half highlights, Coach, and show the folks what happened at Alabama State on Saturday night. Here you see Devon Ben gashing them for 13. Then Skelton's going to hit Hinton for 7. He's going to come back and hit Hinton for 5. Then Skelton's going to tote it himself for 12. Skelton then's going to take it into the end zone. And the Jaguars, as I said earlier, they came out really, really ready to play, fired up on offense, and exactly what you needed, Coach, to get this thing moving.
Well, exactly. You took the opening possession, started there with a great kickoff return, set them up in good field position, and then the offense just clicked. Skelton was very, very Skelton light on this drive.
There you see him going to the end zone. Baraha is going to make that extra point. We're up at this juncture, 14-7. Coach, you had a situation where they got the ball back, and then they tied it up really quickly to make the score 14-14. At this point, you're going, wow, this thing is going to be kind of back-to-back scoring. But then both teams kind of came to play. You see Nettles get sacked by Lewis. Then he got sacked by Ivy and Jones. But unfortunately, you're going to see Skelton fumble the ball right there. Coach, what happened on that play? He just kind of lost it, slipped out of his hands?
Well, yes, going to your left, ball in your right hand, you got to have 2 hands on it and just throw it away. That's why I was talking about don't make a bad play worse. Just be smart and make good decisions. We'll live to play another down.
You see the score there, 21-14 at this juncture. Jones has a nice kickoff return for 24 yards. And then we set up. Jones does a reverse for 14 yards. That young man has some speed, Coach.
Very, very fast. Just like to see him. He missed a deep ball early in the first half, but he made some plays in the second half to really help us.
Beautiful play drawn up right there. You got Skelton hitting Perkins for a 59-yard touchdown. He was wide open, Coach.
Great play call. Right time of the game, right field position, and the execution was great.
21-21 at this juncture. Then you see the defense playing stout. Farmer with a nice play for no gain. And then we dodged a bullet on this one, Coach.
They had him open.
Yeah,
they had him open.
Yep. Coach, right here, this is the touchdown that wasn't. Most people said it was a touchdown. Luckily, we got 3 points out of it. Baraha hits a 41-yarder. The Jaguars up 24-21 at this juncture. Got a great tackle right here, Coach, by Chase Foster. And then Jalen Ivey, he got a sack right here, Coach. And this was just a man who was not going to be denied.
Great effort sack right there, and I think the coverage was good. He had to hold the ball longer than he anticipated, but Ivy played well.
Great special teams play right there. We pinned them deep in their territory. On this first play, you got a good stop by Square and Tate. We get the ball back. Ben rushes for 12. Unfortunately, we end up punting, but they fumbled, so we got the ball back. Another great special teams effort, Coach.
They played well. First game, you're always nervous about special teams, and offense get out there first play. I thought we scored right here.
We should have scored right there. Unfortunately, it was a holding penalty. We got backed up. Then we had a drop pass that really, really should have kept the series going. And then they got a great push and got to Skelton. They got the ball back. A great, great team defensive effort. And here's the play of the game. They could have tied it up. Unfortunately, they missed. Ball game, 24-21. Coach, I know you were not happy after this game. You got the win, but it came with the cost of you really, really wanted better play from your team.
Well, it's the first game, and a lot of miscues, a lot of missed opportunities. But fortunate, I think when we were down 21-14 going into the fourth quarter, and playing under the circumstances that we're playing under, to see how those guys fought back to win the fourth quarter 10-0 tells you a lot about the grit of this football team. And this could be the signature win that you look in a season and say, where did it all start? Because I really thought it came together at the right time, and just to see the focus that it took to come back on the road in that environment is something that's very difficult. But I was proud of the guys. We didn't play our best, but we found a way to win a football game.
We're going to take a show ID break to show you the times that the show comes on for about 30 seconds. And when we come back, we'll look at the Alpha Media Players of the Week and have some more conversation with Coach on the Jaguar Football Show with Coach Dawson Odums. Football Show with Coach Dawson Odums. Coach, you know, every week in this segment we have the Alpha Media Players of the Week. Who were the Alpha Media Players of the Week on offense, defense, and special teams this week?
Well, at running back, Devon Bean had an outstanding game. Pass protecting, running the football. He's our offensive player of the week. Special teams, Speedy Kendrick Jones had an outstanding day returning for us on kickoff return. He's our special team player of the week. And defense, Jordan Lewis, I think he was credited with 4.5 sacks. We had him for 5. So what an outstanding game. Those are your Alpha Media Players of the Week.
Thank you, Coach. Very well deserved. And you could have had some other guys who gave equally good effort. So congratulations, gentlemen. Coach, every week in this segment is where we're going to have our player interviews. But this week, you decided not to let the players talk after the game. What went into that decision?
Well, just getting them back on the bus, getting everybody dressed, and really trying to corral them and get them, you know, they can't disperse out. So we wanted to just keep them in line so that we can follow the protocol that's in place. But I did let our SID know those interviews can take place via Zoom, and if they needed to get some footage or clips of them. Okay,
great. Coach, let's talk about this first weekend and some of the challenges that the SWAC is going to face playing a spring 2021 schedule during this COVID time. You had 2 other games, J-State and Valley, Texas Southern versus our next opponent, UAPB. One of those games was called, I think because of COVID protocols. The other game was postponed for another reason. First question is, if a player turns up positive, does that mean that that player gets quarantined, or does his whole position group get quarantined? A la an offensive lineman comes up positive. Does that mean because he practices with the offensive line, probably lives and eats with the offensive line, you got to quarantine that whole position group?
Well, it comes down to testing positive and contact tracing. The biggest thing is with contact tracing is knowing how long those guys were around each other. Mm-hmm. So you figure that on a football field, guys are not going to be 15 minutes around each other. But if they live in the same living quarters, that's considered contact tracing. If you allowed them to be in the locker room and just hanging out, getting undressed, that would be considered contact tracing. So you try to eliminate as much contact tracing as possible. That's why we do all our meetings on Zoom. There's no in-house meetings. You don't sit in meeting rooms. You get in and out of the locker room. There's no There's no showering at the facility. It's get changed and get out, rapid fire. So we got it down to about 5 minutes and 30 seconds is what it take for half our football team to go into the locker room and get dressed and get out. So doing all those things and putting all those procedures in place is how you cut down on the contact tracing.
So my second question, Coach, in that same vein, we've got a game coming up this weekend. If that team had been coming off of a postponement, is 7 days enough of a space to where you could be able to play the game, or what is the rule on a team or a game was postponed? What's the time frame to be able to play again, or is it all about that COVID test?
Well, the biggest thing is understanding how long and when did they test positive. So if someone tests positive on Monday, then by the time you get to next Wednesday, that would have been 10 days have passed for its contact tracing. So if the guys that are in the contact tracing protocol test negative, then they have a chance to return back to action. If the guys in that process test positive, then they go into the positive protocol. And when you test positive, it's more to it now than just getting a negative test. I know for us, they have to go see a cardio specialist just to make sure that there's no damage to the heart. And we're still tracking that to make sure that guys are 100% cleared to play from a health perspective. And we can't rush them back. They're out. So what I've told our guys is if you test positive, that could be a 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 week process. So it all depends on how your body react to being positive.
Last question, Coach. Do you think these postponed games will actually be made up, or do you think, and if they aren't able to be made up, how does the SWAC decide who wins, these games and these conferences? Will it just be forfeits? Because you're talking about already Alcorn out and the rest of the teams playing, but you got clearly 2 games that have been forfeited. The possibility of other forfeits or postponements are there. Do you think there's enough time to make up games to where you could really have a litmus test of who was the best in the East, who was the best in the SWAC, if everybody doesn't play everybody?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The yes is that it's early. So we have some bye weeks that are on our schedule that everybody had. So those are going to take precedent over makeups. So if you're March the 13th was a bye week, not really a bye week, but a scheduled week where we all was off. Now those teams that missed the first week are going to play March the 13th. So that give them guys a chance to fill in and make up their first game. Also later, I think April the 17th or somewhere around there is another bye week. So you got some bye weeks in there that
Built
you can
in.
use to possibly help fill the schedule if you miss some games.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we'll look at our next opponent, the UAPB Lions, our only home game of the year on the Bluff. So stay with us on the Jaguar Football Show with Coach Dawson Odums.
Add some oomph to your next boil. Pick up crawfish from the lottery. Win up to $3,000. Make it rain. Cash. Grab your big money ticket from the lottery. Win up to $100,000. Get yours today.
We have very special employees here, people that have been here for forever. Just have really good hearts and love to serve those around them.
We all a family here. The customer should feel very comfortable. We try to make it as easy as possible.
We have customers come in really, really happy and satisfied with the service that we provide for them. That is one of Mr. Lane's biggest deals, is that we are treating customers the right way.
Jaguar football show with Coach Dawson Odums. Coach, our opponent this weekend is the UAPB Lions, and they are coming off a postponed game due to, I think, busted pipes in their stadium, so they couldn't get their game in. So I guess we really don't know a whole lot about the UAPB Lions other than what you hear in the street committees. So what are you hearing about the UAPB Lions, Coach?
It's tough when you're preparing for teams that you really don't know what they have. You don't know what additions they made that will be eligible to play. They've added a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. You don't have any film, so you're going into this game pretty blind. Just like we went into the Alabama State game. We haven't played them since 2016, and we did play UAPB in 2019, but that's a lot of time.
Yeah. Some
of the guys that were on that team are no longer there. You don't know you know they got a couple good players. Ballard is one of the better receivers in the country. We do know that Scholar is going to take over at quarterback. Scholar, I think, is Perry. He played some against us in 19, so we're familiar with those two. And then they have a tight end that's Brown that's pretty good. So those guys are three guys that we really know about. Defensively, don't really know about a lot of those guys. They lost some seniors that were very good football players, new specialists. So this is going to be one of those games where you can game plan, but it's kind of hard to game plan from 2019. You just have to look at it from a standpoint of what skill set they have and try to put the best plan going forward. You got to make some adjustments.
Coach, you know, one thing I know is this is one of those games where UAPB, we usually have their number. They usually come in with a good running game, but every team gets up for the Jaguars because the Jaguars is like their bowl game. So that's always a challenge. You got to be ready for a team like UAPB.
Always. And I think our guys accepted the challenge last week, and they're looking forward to playing at home like every week. I think it's a tremendous advantage for us to be at A.W. Mumford Stadium, and we know the jungle's going to be rocking, whether it's 500 or 7,500, 6,000, how many of them in there with the human jukebox behind us. We're looking for an emotional game, and we only got one, so hopefully we can play a lot better.
You better get your tickets. There's a limited number of seats and limited number of tickets that are going to be available, and as I understand it, there's going to be no tailgating. You need to check with the Jaguars at Go Jag Sports to make sure you know what's happening. All right, Coach.
Go Jags!